And joining me today is flyweight champion of LFA, Shannon Clark, fresh off her victory over undefeated Beatrice Consuli at LFA 221. So, Shannon, I gotta start here. I was watching the fights. I see them get to the decision. It's a foregone conclusion, in my opinion. You get your hand raised, and you're looking around like everybody else is crazy. Tell me, why didn't you think you won that fight?
Um, Honestly, I never think I win fights if it goes to decision. I get shocked every single time, actually. I don't really know why. I think, well, one, my coach going into the fourth and fifth round, both times he's like, you need a finish, you're down, you're losing, let's go, and you need a finish. So I guess I believe him. And then I was thinking, I'm like, well, I guess the first three I black out. I don't know what I even did during those rounds, but it was more just like, well, I believe my coach. And then you never know. Like, you never know what the judge is going to say. Like, I also don't feel like I win a fight like without a finish. I feel like a decision is still lost to me. So it's more just still shocked. And like you said, I was very shocked. It's funny. I've had clips of my friends watching and they send it back to me and they're just like, you could hear them be like, I don't think she knew she won. I don't think she knows. And it's so true. I didn't know I won. I was so shocked.
Now, out of curiosity, have you gone back and watched it with like an eye of being like, did I win this fight? Did I not win this fight? And was it obvious to you if you went back and watched it?
Yeah. I mean, I've watched it one time. I need to rewatch and stuff. But I've watched it once so far. And the first round, I actually didn't lose as bad as I thought I did. I know we lost the first round, absolutely. Our whole goal was just make it through the first round because we knew she was going to come and try and get the knockout. So that was the whole thing of just get through the first, then put the pressure on. I thought I got the shit kicked out of me in the first round. It wasn't as bad as it was, but the second, I don't know. I guess I'm just so critiqued about myself. Like I'm actually not happy about my performance. And yeah, I mean, I guess looking overall, I guess you could say I won, but it's still a loss to me to make it a decision, honestly.
Well, I love that vibe about you. But now I gotta ask too about your coaches because you mentioned they said you were down, they said you had to go after rounds. Is that sort of the relationship you have with them, knowing that like maybe they knew you needed that push, or maybe they were worried about the Brazilian judges? Like what was maybe your thoughts about why they thought you were down?
They knew deep down I actually wasn't down, that I found out afterwards. They also know I perform a lot better when I'm being critiqued than when you give me positive energy. When you give me positive energy, I have the mental side of you're just bullshitting me. Like good job. Like I just don't do good with that. Whereas like if you're like pull your head out of your ass, you need this is what you need to fix, this is it. I do way better that way. So I think that also had to do with it. I mean, we also never want to leave it to the judges in Brazil, right? Like you never know. I mean, luckily my fourth and fifth round were more dominating, so it was hard to give it to her for those rounds for sure. But yeah, it's just kind of like a mixture of don't leave it to the judges, but at the same time, that is how like if you critique me, I go so much better. I work harder than you just saying good job, and it just doesn't mean as much.
Well, and that's good to have coaches who know that about you too. Now, we've mentioned the Brazilian crowds a couple of times in here, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, you're looking up and down this LFA 221 card. There was exactly two non-Brazilian fighters on the card. One of them was from Argentina, which is, pretty darn close to Brazil. The other one Canadian. So tell me, what was it like being on a card where you're the only person from outside of South America on that card?
Yeah. It was a lot of me sitting there by myself because they're all talking Portuguese and I have no idea what they're saying. And I'm just like, all right, like let's swing it. So like when we were doing media stuff, when we did the ceremonial weigh-ins, we're all supposed to be back there and I'm just sitting there literally in the corner like I have no idea because I can't talk to anyone. And which I mean, honestly, it actually helped not knowing their language because I was around her so much for this fight. Whereas usually you don't see your opponent until weigh-ins and then your fight. Whereas we had so much media stuff where we had to interact. So it really helped not knowing her language that you don't get friends with her or if she's shit talking you or anything. I have no idea what she's saying. I'm just like, okay, sounds good. Like, hi. But besides that, honestly, it's kind of, I guess I just knew what to expect. I just know, like, I've been into hostile territory against Naira, against Shay. It feels like I just go into their territory anyways. So it's kind of the same feeling, just minus English, which, like I said, no idea what anyone said to me. So it was actually nice.
Well, that's interesting to hear because I've heard that the Brazilian crowds tend to be way more hostile than American or wherever else you fought in, sort of enemy territory, Colorado or Connecticut or wherever it might be. Did you find them to be more hostile? Did you find them to be sort of welcoming?
Well, the LFA staff itself were
Mhm.
hugely welcoming. Obviously, they are amazing. But the fans, I mean, I guess I don't pay attention much to that. I mean, with Shay and even Naira, I got booed, whereas they do some chant and some other language or anything. So I have no idea what, and I've been told that, but I had no idea what that even hurt because I don't listen to, I've never listened to that chant before. I mean, I've heard it happens in the UFC, but I don't really watch the UFC a whole lot. So it's like, I didn't know what to expect, so I'm just like, oh, cool, they're chanting, like no idea what it means, no idea what they're saying. It's just kind of like it's better than being booed because at least I know what boo means, right? And can understand it. So honestly, it wasn't that bad. And then afterwards, I got to connect with so many of them. There was probably, and I'm not exaggerating, I bet you at least 200 people I took photos with afterwards, and I got to experience. They were so good to me, but I mean, at the same time, I gave them my belt every photo and was like, "You guys want to hold the belt? Do you guys want to do this?" I'm at like knee level with the kids, and I'm interacting and trying to talk to them and learn. And I had my Google Translator out, and I'm trying to talk. So it was like it's kind of like I was winning the hearts over of them. I think a little bit after I won. Like it wasn't like I was rude to any of them or any of that stuff. So it was actually such a cool experience. It was probably one of the most highlighted performance experiences in my life. It was unreal. I wish I could relive that again.
That's awesome to hear. You don't hear too much about that in foreign soil. So, I want to ask too about how you came out of that fight too, because obviously we're going to talk about what's next here. Are you injured? Do you feel fresh? Do you feel like you need to get back in there right away to, sort of get the stink of a decision on, a dominant decision victory, but the stink of a decision victory off? What's sort of the vibe you feel following that fight?
Usually I give my body an entire week off, whether I'm injured or not. I need to put the weight back on just because of, and I eat whatever I want. It's the best week of your life because you get to eat what you want and you have to put weight on. Although I do feel like absolute shit and garbage right now because of everything I'm eating, but it's delicious. Um, but I always give myself a week off and then I get back into it. I'll get back into training and weights and cardio and stuff. But injury wise, no, nothing. I'm perfectly fine, perfectly healthy, ready to get back. And if it wasn't for me trying to put the weight back on, I'd be back in there sooner. It's just right now, this week, I give it all to my family and focus on my kids and everything like that. So I don't take a minute away. So, and recovering from sleep because I don't sleep a whole lot the week of because of, well, there was just so much going on there that I got less sleep and less sleep this last week. So it's just recovering on sleep and then giving it back to my friends and family.
I love that. Now, I got to ask too, because this is one of my favorite fighters' questions of all time. Tell me about what your cheat meals look like. What does it look like when we have to put weight back on? Us regular Joes would love that kind of stuff. So tell me, what does it look like when you try to put weight back on? What's your meals look like?
Well, so we flew into Calgary, and in Calgary there's a place called Cinnaholic. So we had two vehicles there. My coach and I we went to Cinnaholic and we got the cinnamon buns, and then my husband and my dad went to this Krispy Kremes, which we have in Calgary, and got donuts. So we loaded up on that and we got home, and I actually had friends at the house and they had like a red carpet laid out for me and they were there and my kids were there and it was so heartwarming. Oh, it's amazing. So, but they had donuts waiting for me at home, and then I had my candy that I love at home, and I was like, holy cow. And then I get bread again. So I've had a bagel. Oh my goodness, I haven't had bread in so long. I got pasta, which I haven't had pasta. Um, what else did I get? Yesterday, I was feeling like absolute shit, so I actually just ate my chicken and rice, which my husband was like, "Come on, Shannon, stop," because that's what I eat so much during fight camp. But I had to just give myself one normal meal. Um, I'm trying to think. This weekend, though, we have the fights on Saturday, right? The UFC fights. So I'm going to be eating that. And then Sunday's the Grey Cup. I'm a huge Rough Rider fan, and we're in the Grey Cup. So I will be eating like garbage like that, and then come back Monday, we'll be back to normal and back to like semi-dieting, like dieting but not fully strict kind of thing. But now I've had like my junk food kind of crave. Had some Halloween candy or chocolates and chips and stuff, but it's more like the food right now, like burger, fries, pasta. Like I said, bread was so nice to have back. That's what I'll be having. Or like this weekend, I get from one restaurant, it's like spinach dip, and I'm just like, oh, like just miss that kind of food now. So that's what I'll be eating this weekend, and then after that, it'll come back to dieting somewhat.
I love it. I love it. Now let's talk about the future too for Shannon Clark because now the flyweight title in LFA has held a lot of prestige over the years. Every other woman who's ever held the title has made it to the UFC in some capacity. In addition to that, you've now defended it more than any woman in the history of LFA, which I'm going to share with you, the first person ever to defend the belt twice successfully. So, talk to me about like where you feel like you fit, what you feel like might be next. What are your sort of thoughts on what your goals are?
Um, well, my goal never until it's got taken away from my knockout, was to make the UFC. Never gave a shit about it, didn't care. It was all side hobby. And then I see like now being that close and seeing the performances of people, and it's like I know I deserve to be there. Bia, she deserves to be there. To me, that was the closest UFC fight I'll ever get. She is a phenomenal athlete. She will be in the UFC. Mark my word, she will be there one day. And it's just like I beat her. So then like how do I not? And I wish I had that attitude of like when you're in the cage and they ask me what's next and like I've been told and I wish I had that in me to be like Dana, if you don't give me a chance, I'm gonna keep beating every 125er you have until you give it to me. Like, you're gonna need some girls. I wish I had that attitude, but it's not who I am. I just been told to say that. Um, but yeah, it's like I want to make it now. I want to at least get the one fight in the UFC. We'll see what happens after that. But it's just like I don't truly know what else. Like it's not. I don't mean to sound cocky. I don't mean to sound anything. But it's like who else is there? Like people online have said something about Shay, and it's like I, it's not that I wouldn't fight her. Like it's not like I'm scared or anything to fight her. It's just beating her doesn't benefit me at all, right? Like it would benefit her a shit ton if she beats me, but like me beating her, I've already done it now, right? Like it's like, yeah, it might have been a close fight and all this stuff, but like, so what? Like I've already won. So then that's why we chose Bia. Like we're like, no, like we need a hard person. Who's next in line to the UFC? We were told it's gonna be Bia. It's between at one point I was like kind of told it'd be Shay, me, and Bia. I beat Shay. Okay, now it's Bia. Now if I beat her, there's no one else, as far as I was told, that left to beat. So that's kind of why we were like, no, we want her, we want her. And then they're like, they're trying to find us a match of like where they could fly us in and um cost wise and everything for LFA. And it was just getting frustrating because I'm like, I just want to fight. I don't sit out this long ever. And I just want to know, like, let's get it over with kind of thing. And then when they found out it was Brazil, and it was just like, okay, like I was told, like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I didn't know, but apparently you don't fly to Brazil. You don't, as the champ, you don't go to their territory. You don't do any of that stuff. And I was like, I think of an athlete. I think of my football. And I'm like, well, you go to other players, opponents' places, so I don't understand why you wouldn't, kind of thing. And if that's the place you have to go to fight, you have to do it. So then when I get there, I've been told like, thank you so much for coming. Our economy really loved it, or LFA really needed this, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, like to me, it's just being an athlete. You have to kind of do that. And truthfully, it's like, again, without sounding cocky, but who else is there? I don't know that would mean that much to get me there. Like, there's a lot of girls to fight, don't get me wrong, but Shay was that high. Then Bia, I don't know. I don't know who else there is if they don't give me a chance, truthfully.
Yeah, so then that leads us to kind of an interesting position, right? Like, what do you feel it is next? Because do you feel like you just have to sit and wait? You said yourself you don't like sitting and waiting. Is this an opportunity where we sit and wait for a little while and then we look for what's next? I mean, obviously you've got a little bit of time to think about this with like sort of the empty December that LFA has anyway, and they're probably pretty booked in the beginning of the year. But like,
Yeah.
how do you weigh that problem?
I don't know. I don't know. Because that's what we were in January with Shay. Because it was, we want to win. After my contenders, they're like, come back, fight your belt, you win, you're in. Um, and unfortunately, like I took it as, not took it, but like I mentally needed to prove I was patient. So I fought the way I did with Shay because I need to prove to myself I could be a patient fighter, which then cost me of like, you're on the weight game. If there's an injury, we'll call you, but keep training. So it was like months and months of waiting until it was to the point where I was like, okay, like how much more do I have to wait? I can't wait a year of this. Like I'll move on in life. I don't have time for this kind of stuff. This isn't my career, right? Um, that's when we were like, hey, I need to get one more fight in this. Let's go. And then I was told like have a good performance. Like there's no reason they can't take you after this. So I don't know. I believe everything I get told, so that's the shittiest part. But like I truly just don't I don't know what else they could do, and I don't know what will happen if they're like, no, have another one. And I'll be like, well then who? Because even LFA, when we talk to them, they're like those were the up and comers, right? Like I truly believe if I LFA, I think needs me to move on so that they can fulfill that belt with Shay or Bia, right? Or someone else like maybe they have an up and comer that they can hold off or like can fight around, but it's like I don't have the time for another up and comer to come. I don't have 2 more years of this, right? Waiting around for another choice. So I think that there's like in my head, I have a couple fights where it's like these people, if they win, they win. Then it's like Bia's gonna fight this girl, and then Shay and Bia should fight for the belt, and the winner should go to the UFC because I truly believe both of them should be there. But I need to leave for that to happen. So I don't know. I don't know. I just hope it all works out sooner than later, or at least get told. Like, I don't need to fight right away, but just tell me so I'm not playing the waiting game because that's mentally draining.
Well, so I usually like to end these things with a prediction because I'm usually doing pre-fight interviews, not post-fight interviews. But being that this is a post-fight interview and you've said your corner tells you to come forward and say the message to Dana White, give us the message to Dana White. I'm going to give you the sign off here. Tell me your message to Dana White right now about what we need for Shannon Clark in 2026.
Um, I don't know. Just take me, please. Like I will work my ass off for you, Dana. Or if not, tell me at least tell me what I need to do. Is it another fight? Is it because I'm just starting to bring my social media back? Because I know that is such a thing nowadays, right? And I took my social media away. And now it's like, okay, I will bring it back. LFA found my personal one, and now I'm like, oh shit. So now I'm gonna create it, and I will put that work in. It's just something I've never cared to do because it was just always a side gig. But like, I will bring it back if that's what they need. I just wish they would tell me, and I hope I just get a clear answer sooner than later, even if that's for 2026. Just tell me, do you need another win? Do you need something or just my social media? Like, let me know.
All right. Well, we hope that that sure happens. And in the meantime, this has been LFA flyweight champion Shannon Clark, fresh off her victory over the undefeated Beatrice Consuli at LFA 221. Shannon, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.